Hi everybody and welcome to another video. My name is Richard Seidlitz and I'm the owner of redpants.lol. Today I had a really cool plan for a video. I was going to go to a dyno shop with my buddy Bruce. Each of us has a V8 Vantage and each of our V8 Vantages is supercharged but in two completely different ways. So we're going to do a dyno session. We're each going to put our cars on the dyno and see how much power they each put out and compare our notes to see what we thought of each kit for the performance. However, things didn't quite go according to plan. The concept was very simple. First, he was going to put his car on the dyno, do some runs, and then we were going to put my car on the dyno and do some runs. That's all. Well, we did the first part of that. Bruce's car got on the dyno, did some runs, and then we pulled it off. Well, while his car was on the dyno, mine was sitting outside cooling off, so when my car went on the dyno, we had to warm it up. No big deal. That's a safety measures for performance. It's what you're supposed to do. So we were doing some gentle runs on the dyno. And then this happened. My immediate thought was, well, of course, because this is part and parcel for what I've been dealing with for months on end. So my tooth broke, which was fantastic, so I had to find a dentist. I hopped over and got my mouth fixed, but now my speaking voice isn't quite what it should be, and I feel wonderful. So when this happened, honestly, I was just like, here we go again. I felt like a bowl of petunias and a whale falling from the sky inevitably to my doom, and I just kind of resigned myself to it because it's happening yet again. Now, I'm sure the thumbnail made it pretty clear that this video is going to be about something that looks pretty catastrophic and may have been pretty catastrophic, but I wanted to make sure that at the same time, this isn't a bad thing necessarily, and actually I'm really happy that this did happen. You see, I'm in the middle of a huge road trip, and after I leave the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, I'm driving out west. I've got to stop in Austin, and then I'm driving all the way to Tucson and Phoenix, Arizona. Now, if you're not familiar with the southwestern United States, let me draw you a picture. There's nothing there. Nothing. It's just empty and vast, and had my radiator blown while I was in the middle of that drive, I'd have been proper. I mean, there's no way that this could have gone well if I'd been out on the road. I would have been hours away from anybody, and God knows what it would have cost me to get my car to somewhere where I could get it taken care of and stored while I waited for the new radiator to come in. So this actually is really good that this happened the way it did. I mean, it was in the most controlled environment possible. As soon as that happened, we killed the engine, we brought it to a complete stop, and we looked for the issue. So there wasn't any real damage to my car. It was just a bunch of coolant everywhere.
That had nothing to do with dyno runs.
Nope. That's just age. That's a 14-year-old car or whatever it is.
I've already got another radiator on the way. It'll be here in a day or two, and until then, I'm going to continue working because God knows how far behind I am on emails and stuff like that. Of course, you guys are going to be wondering, well, how did this happen? And I'm going to say right off the bat, this had absolutely nothing to do with the supercharger kit that I just installed. And this is why the optics are so scary for making this video, is because a lot of people knew that I was at that dyno shop to get power figures for the supercharger, and then poof goes the engine. Well, it's not the engine, it's the radiator. The radiator failing is down to three things: age, abuse, and accidents. Unless you're with an insurance company, at which point it's just age and a lot of diligent driving and nothing more. And also stop watching my videos. The age of the car is definitely relevant. It's 14 years old and it's got over 88,000 miles on it. And those miles have not been very kind, which is part of the abuse factor. I've done a bunch of track days, I've driven through ice and snow and sand and storms and everything else. The car has been around the block. It's not babied whatsoever. So this isn't terribly surprising that a radiator would fail. In addition to that, I did have an accident which I believe was the root cause of this particular failure. You see, when I did a track day a few years ago, I think it was 4 years ago now, yeah, about 4 years ago, I did a track day at Summit Point, at which point I was minding my own business, going around a corner, and then a tire wall jumped out in front of me for no reason whatsoever. And unfortunately, even though it picked the fight, it also won the fight. So, when that happened, I had to replace the fan assembly for my radiator. It was cracked, the frame was broken, and so I did it. It's a very simple job. I have a DIY guide for it on redpants.lol, so make sure you check it out if you're in need of that job. But I should have also replaced the radiator. I mean, the amount of damage that had been done to the radiator shroud, or the radiator fans, should have replaced the radiator as well. So I'm pretty sure that that was a stress crack caused during that accident. Everybody that was with me during the dyno session agreed. It's like, this is absolutely down. You know, the first thought, as soon as they saw where the crack was and how it broke, they're just like, oh yeah, this is age, period. I was like, well, I also have this accident. And they go, oh yeah, it's age and that would definitely do it. So there's no mystery here. It's not because of, it's not because of the supercharger. It's not because of anything. It's because of the way I drive my car. So luckily, this is an easy thing to fix, which I will be doing in a couple days when my new radiator arrives. The silver lining here is that this couldn't happen in a better situation, and I'm glad it did, because it means that I'm not stranded in the middle of nowhere. The downside is I didn't even get a chance to do my dyno pulls, so once I get the car fixed, I can go back to the dyno shop. And I do want to give, on that topic, I do want to give a huge thank you to Richard and the guys over at Evolution Dynamics. Love those guys. They were phenomenal, great to work with, very professional. They are an Evo shop, which is very obvious when you go there. They are definitely an Evo shop, but I'm really happy with it. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys again so I can finish my dyno pulls. And I will be doing a video of that as well. I'm going to take the footage that I started with before, and I'll use that to lead into the rest of the footage I'll do once I actually get my runs in. So, if you want to follow along with what's been going on, make sure you check out redpants.lol, subscribe to the channel, because I'll be posting more and more of these videos. And also check out my buddy Bruce, who was with me. He's got Redbeard Racer and SRT10 Dually, and then also Evolution Dynamics. Those guys were fantastic, so I do want to give them a very thank you shout out. A thank you shout out. Does that work? It works now. It's a thank you shout out. And make sure you like the video if you like what you saw. And yeah, I know it's bad news, but hopefully you guys see why I did this. Things happen, but at the end of the day, ultimately, this is just a minor inconvenience. It's not like I'm stranded in the middle of nowhere, because, like I said, this happened in the best way possible. So I'm very happy that this played out the way that it did. Anyway, that's the video. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in just a couple more days when I get the next one up.
I think this is your problem, man. It just kind of fell out of the car, and then we saw a bunch of smoke and stuff. I don't know what happened, but here it is.